Are you married to an entrepreneur and trying to figure out how to navigate those waters? Let's talk about that today. Hey everybody, Mark Dolfini here. I am your strategic life and business coach. If you are married to an entrepreneur, let me just tell you something. I'm sorry and congratulations. It can be a fun ride, right? But the problems are fairly numerous. And my wife is an absolute saint for putting up with me through all of my years and all of my endeavors and everything else. Let's face it, there's a lot of problems that come with being married to an entrepreneur. Some of those things are jumping out of the airplane and building the parachute on the way down, falling in love with ideas very quickly and then not following through on them, having 52 different ideas going at the same time, and all these different things, and it takes a toll. It takes a toll on our relationship. It takes a toll on our marriage, and probably the worst one is where she always felt like she was a distant second or third or 10th to everybody else, that everybody else got the best version of me, and by the time I got home, she got all the leftovers. She got all the she wasn't getting the best version of me. She got the grouchy, worn out, exhausted version of me, which is never the good version of me. I got an email the other day from a exasperated sounding spouse, and I'm going to be gender non-specific here because I don't want to think it's just a man problem, because it is not. But here's the interesting thing: this exasperated spouse was kind of at their wits' end, because it was like they're doing all this stuff at home, they're taking care of things, they're taking care of all of the other ideas that come up, and they're driving the boat, and they want to feel like they're on the boat together. But oftentimes it's, hey, here's the fire we started, go ahead and handle this for me approach to doing business with one another. That person was saying, is it a mistake for married couples to be in business together? Should they be looking at a different approach? Hopped on a call with them, and it wasn't all that uncommon with the people who I coach every day. I like working with married small business entrepreneurs. I work with a few single folks, but they are in committed relationships generally. But the interesting thing is that feeling like they're second and third place is pervasive. It's all over. I asked them, and they know, they've seen some of my videos. They know about my vision. I think vision is the main circuit breaker that starts with everything. It goes VIP, vision, infrastructure, then process. And I asked them, I said, do you have a vision written down? And they said yes, but it wasn't written down, which is pretty typical. And I said, okay, well, let me ask you something. You said you have a vision, and they said, that it's pretty clear. And their personal vision was actually clearer than most. They actually had been paying attention to the stuff that I put out on YouTube. They've been watching another channel that I have, the Landlord Coach channel. So they know about the vision piece. And that vision piece was really, really pretty well developed for this couple. And I stopped and I asked them, I said, look, let me ask you one thing. I said, do you have a vision for what you want your marriage to look like? And they both stopped and they looked at each other. We're on a Zoom call, and they stopped and they looked at each other, and they kind of said, well, I don't, do you? And the other ones, I don't, do you? Sort of thing. It was really interesting because neither one of them had stopped for just a second and thought about what they wanted the relationship to look like with the individual that was sitting right next to them. If you are struggling, let me just put this out there first. There are many, many married small business entrepreneurs that work together, that make it work and do well. And they have such a good relationship because they're able to talk about something more than just the business. It's not just, hey, did you handle the accounts receivable today? Hey, did you go out and take care of that maintenance order or that work order or whatever it was, right? Did you have that conversation with so-and-so today? Like, it's so much more than that, and it can be so much more than that. But I really do believe that it takes intentional work about having a vision for what you want your marriage to look like. Without that, I don't know how that works. I don't think that happens by just sheer happenstance. I don't think that happens without defining what you want that to look like. So For example, do you want a date night once a week? Do you want, how often should the physical stuff happen? How often should you convey, words of affirmation or other love languages that are important to you, whether it's quality time or acts of service, or we talked about physical touch, or whatever. These are the sorts of things that you really have to stop and think about and be intentional and define that stuff out, because relationships don't happen by remote control. It's really important that you define this and be intentional about what you want that relationship to look like. So, no, your spouse isn't broken. No, it's not. They're beautifully broken. If anything, they're perfectly broken, and that's okay, because we're all perfectly broken. And I just don't want you feeling like that you can't have a marriage to someone who is an entrepreneur and you just have to learn to live with it. I just want you to say, okay, let's stop. Let's get really intentional about what we want our relationship to look like. I'm going to wrap this video up here, but I want you to walk away with one other thing. I get a lot of people who come to me who either want to write a book, people who want to get into real estate investing, maybe start a business of their own, whatever else it is. And I'll ask them, I say, let's say we'll use the example of real estate investing. And I'll say to them, okay, what investment have you done in becoming a good real estate investor? What does that look like? And they say, oh, well, I've read this book, I've gone to this seminar, I've whatever. Like they've spent thousands of dollars on gurus and everything else. And I say, okay, that's interesting. So now I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. What have you spent to invest in being a good spouse? What investment have you made? And they might respond back, well, we go on a date night. We did. No. That's calling the play while you're walking on the field. What actual investment? What books have you read? What seminars have you attended? What retreats have you experienced? What have you learned about being a good spouse? Because I can tell you, every single time someone has gotten into the real estate business and didn't do their due diligence, didn't take the time to really learn what that looks like and all the intricacies and pitfalls and things like that, they're the ones who are struggling. But why wouldn't that same metaphor hold up for someone who's trying to learn how to be a good husband, good wife, whatever? So that would be another thing that I would take away is, first and foremost, have a clear vision for what you want your relationship to look like. And secondly, really think about what investment have you done into the relationship in terms of learning to be a better spouse, friend, husband, lover, whatever that is. All right? That's all I have for today, everybody. Please be sure to place value in your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. We'll see you again.